to heat up here. These games are starting to become more and more important. We're beginning to move away from that period, Al, where teams can kind of say, look, it's the beginning, we're still learning. Now is the time you need to show where you're really made of.
And that's actually a bit of a sore point for the split because durability patch came in. That made things very difficult for teams to prep for this split, to come in, to find themselves a safe berth and say, this is our bedrock, we're going to build off of this. Because that actually got broken up, and these teams have had now had to try and find a new foundation. But you're right, we have had 6 games on the board, 18 games in a regular split, it's a third of the way through. And at this point, you're looking at 1 of 5, 4 and 2. You're starting to see these groups start to clump together on both sides of the table.
Very much
start to.
so.
It's still quite clumpy right
exactly.
now.
You know, like we are officially a third of the way through the split. We have got rid of 6 of the 18 games. They've already been played. Only 12 more to go. And when things like playoffs are on the line, of course, with EU Masters a potential at the end of that, alongside, of course, the prestige of winning the NLC itself. The other end of that scale is, of course, relegations are a thing. Some of those teams in Div 2 are no slouches. If you've not been paying attention, there are some real challenges who are looking to come and make their way up to Division 1 here. And you can't be happy with a 1-5 record on the hands of someone like MNM, who really want to hold on to their spot here. And Bifrost, hell, they were our other EU Masters potentials. As we have got a bit of an invade here at the level 1 from MNM.
To have a chat about, because we saw some mid lane wards actually traded on the top side towards that Raptors. A lot of the time, that's something you can do a little later in after your first, second wave. You can try and go poke a ward in there, see if you can track over the jungler. But one way you can do it is just stick your face in there too. So using the Nautilus level 1 to have that threat, Soft going to immediately take away some camps away from Diamond Prox. And of course, Diamond Prox has been very active early into the game. I know you've got a lot of stats on that. I'll let you talk about them in a bit. But Soft, I think, on paper here, actually doing a pretty decent job of making sure that Diamond Prox maybe doesn't have the same resources to play around early.
I don't know whether this has been fully scouted or not. Of course, there'll be some awareness with the fact that wall was placed on Raptors and it hasn't been taken, but if Diamond heads over towards that Raptor pit now, he's going to be down 2 camps, including that red buff.
The thing is, right, because Bifrost bot lane shut on the wave, and Fury already went towards those Raptors, was seen putting their own ward down, and Diamond Prox wasn't present. Already, you know that the wards are either not present or they've been placed somewhere else that you're aware of. Diamond Prox sees the Raptors gone, sees the red buff gone. It's quite a sad little monkey.
And Soft is now going to be well and truly up ahead in this early game here. We've still got his full red side quadrant to clear, and that is a big deal when it comes to this early game. As we said, as far as Diamond goes, he's been a very proactive jungler, but it's often come at his own personal cost. He's right down there as the 9th of all junglers in the NLC in terms of the CS per minute. There's a lot of, he's down a lot of XP at 15. He's often down things like the CS at 15, as I kind of mentioned at that point. But what he's up with alongside Bifrost is early dragons, early heralds, 1.5 heralds a game we're looking at, so they're pretty much getting nearly 2 heralds a game. Lots of dragons early, involved in a fair amount of first bloods.
So that sounds like he's giving up individual leads to make sure he's involved in the big plays early. And now, that not that you can't get individual leads by being involved, but it's a risk to it, right? Because it's guaranteed farm as opposed to not quite guaranteed flipping early plays. And I think actually that has transformed the way that Bifrost have played. Last split, we knew that C-Boy was very hit or miss in the early game. It felt like he was walking into enemy junglers a lot and sometimes out-dueling them, but a lot of the time putting his team in a position where they had to fight back in the mid-game. In this game in particular, I really want to put some eyes on the mid-game. We're going to have to see how these team comps interact later on. I think that, as MTS was saying, actually, on the Champion Select, as they went through the desk, it was very much a case of actually both these teams liking what they're doing. They have a lot of zone control from both sides, lots of ability to kite out a lot of key threats on either side. That means that it comes down to your decision-making in the mid-game, which will really be important. That's something which actually both of these teams have had some queries about so far this split.
Curious little moment here with the pathing, as we've kind of been noticing. Korsov did get those early stolen away camps. It actually left his own red buff from Krugs up. I think potentially assuming there might have been a little invade, but actually Diamond, all he went and did was throw down a Raptor.
He's coming in for the second invade of that Raptor camp.
That's exactly
what this actually means is that if Soft recalls, gets an Iron Spike whip, obviously you already got that pickaxe in there. If you go back for that red buff, which is on your own side, while it's going to be a slower respawn for that buff, you do have an extra buff to play around and have that point of power a little later into the game. So let's see what Sof ends up doing, whether actually he'll end up using a recall and then trying to then use this window of power he's kind of saved for himself. Seems like actually he just wants to get the efficient farming in, so that's a little unfortunate. I thought that actually that would have been a really good play.
Yeah, unfortunate.
You know, getting up towards level 6s. Flash is coming on bot side, certainly not leading to anything, but I feel like Sof maybe could have used that point of power a little more efficiently. I guess, thing is that I'm thinking about it as though it was Diamond Prox, where maybe he'd go, I don't need the respawn as quickly. That's like individual gold in pocket down, but potentially fighting power up.
Ships passing in the night right now as Soft's heading to the river as Diamond heads in onto Soft's Gromp. So I think we might be looking at a potential gank. You know, Soft is turning around into this Gromp. They'll be finding each other, but Soft has the red buff advantage. He knows he's here. Diamond still has the clone. The Q has landed onto that Warrior Tricks, and here comes Shredder and the rest of MNM. Diamond now heading into the pit, but that is now flash for flash. Ignite down as well, and Soft and Shredder in the cage. That is a dangerous place to be. Odie's coming over as well. First blood onto the Callista. They tried to prevent the invade from working and get punished horribly in trade. Odie looking for that final auto, gets the double, and Bifrost are well and truly on the board. You tried to punish Diamond with some of those camps taken. He'll fight you around the Gromp instead.
It feels so bad for Eminem because Soft had done a good job at making sure that Diamond Prox was going to have less gold heading into the level 6 mark, into that point where maybe Herald comes onto the table. But then Eminem, they bite off a little more than they can chew, and it feels like at this point, this comes down to a bit of an unfortunate blast cone play. I'm actually not sure if Mishiku being there means that much because Fury on the first roam has Predator, makes the roam even more impactful. The timing is just not right. You're picking a fight when you don't have that mid priority, you don't have that push. A lot of the time that comes around enemy invades, but it does apply to any fights you have anywhere in the jungle. If your solo lanes, which are adjacent to where you're fighting, aren't ready to fight, you are going to be heading into there eventually with a numbers disadvantage.
And even if Camera wanted to sap the wave and follow Fury, he was nowhere near. He was at his inhibitor tower at that time. He was nowhere near that play. And that really does end up becoming very swiftly punished. And it's a very swift early gold lead down to Bifrost. With this Callista, a big point of early pressure, getting the early gold to get that snowball against the Zeri.
They tried to defenestrate Diamond Prox from their jungle. And then after that, they realized they had to skedoodle and they got minced to bolognese. Like they were being played like a man with a plectrum playing guitar. I asked Twitch chat for a load of words so I could use
Did you get them?
And I've used them all in the same sentence. Now, I realize it's a problem now, because I don't have any other words to use for the rest of the cast.
I now understand what you were going for that, because remember, like, there's a reference here I'm clearly missing, that it dawned on me what was going on. And what you've done is waste your entire list of words you're supposed to slide in subtly through the whole cast in one blatant block.
No, about as subtle as the Kool-Aid guy coming through the wall.
I'm definitely going, oh no, at this point. And you're just going to come, oh yeah, and yell skadoodle one more time.
I like that word. That's a good one.
It's a good word.
Well, might have to see who's skadoodling from this fight, as it seems like we have some members just coalescing into this mid lane. Fury can be backed up by jungle and support. And I have to say, bring it back to a slightly more briefly serious point. Fury was someone I criticized a lot last split, and now I think it's fair criticism. I think that his laning phase had a lot of points of real pain points for me, particularly against X7. And I know it's tempt, but the laning phase was a bit awkward for Fury, who was falling behind a lot of points and not really coming online up until mid to hyper late game, where Bifrost as a whole team started to really threaten their opponents. This time, it feels like Fury has been everywhere on the map. He's not here in bot lane this time, so speaking of that.
Doesn't have that flash. The cannon barrage coming down as well. Throws down the heal. Soft taking a lot of tower shots. He's just going to die. It's a 1-for-1. Utter disaster with all the resources thrown in. There's a Herald taken for Bifrost on the other side at the same time.
So there is a cross map. Now have to see what happens with Odie losing XP, because you've already given him 3 kills. This isn't putting a Callista down, it's just maybe bring them slightly closer to even. I think you're right, with the resources invested, MNM not as happy with that. And it's not even that mid-game yet, it's only that 9-minute mark, as he was saying that first Herald went down. It's not even the mid-game where MNM have started to maybe slip up on some of their decision-making. That's, we're going to have to go into that mid-game.
Caleb's going to need to flash, does indeed do so. Remember, of course, burn the cannon barrage. No real easy way to trade out once that much chunking came out via the Hyperprox and then the Mega Gnar coming through. Diamond's in being obnoxious, but it will be a little bit of a contest. Camera, soft, shredder all around.
Back to the old defenestration station.
Indeed.
Where they tried it before, and once again, they're not
back in through the same window.
Back in through the window.
Broken early. It's like, well, I guess I can come back here. See if I can take the TV this time.
Sure, you sweep up those shards of glass on the ground. It's a dangerous area to be around, and MNM, they can't stop now this bot side of the map from still pushing it. I mean, remember, those resources went into killing Odie, make sure that maybe they could stop Kalista doing what she's doing right now in pushing in, making sure that this bot side of the map is so hard for MNM to play around. Mid lane, no priority just yet, and even if there is, remember, there's a Predator on the side of Fury to get there quicker.
So much gold going into Odie's back pocket. He's been such a standout in the league over the last split or so. Of course, Vendor and FGG currently topping a lot of those tables we saw earlier on, but Odie, Highway, been no slouches either. Of course, some of their stats were hurt a little bit after the loss against XL last week, but they still get 4 plates. They've still got 3 minutes so to claim up that last half a plate remaining, and I feel that's probably a relative possibility as it stands. Another 20 seconds until another Drake spawns, and Bifrost might well look for that one. And right now, it's all Bifrost all the way. Early objectives, early pressure, early kills. All things going Bifrost.
Does that go? Hang on, observers, can we just check whether that ward went into that tri-brush? See it teleport back to lane, but I just want to see if Renata got that into that one.
Oh!
Vision toggle. That is
beautiful.
Sick from Highway. That is so sick.
And we're going to see a bit of a dive instead. That is a massive ultimate. That is so much damage out of Diamond. Kill will be traded back as Highway will flash away 2 for 1. They will take that one and walk away incredibly happy with that.
Oh, Highway gets the Scar reward. That's actually pretty hard to put there. You can see him standing there for a good, like, 10 seconds, be like, yeah, let me just make sure I'm stood at this little tree, click on this one rock. This is what ends up getting that ward into that brush. It means that Darren Pross can head over, knowing there's no pink ward in that bush, sneaks around that vision, gets the dive. Even though it ends up being 1 kill traded back, that's 5 kills on a Kalista. That's 5 plates put into it. Seriously sick play from Highway. I love this so much.
Beautiful.
Even sees it go down, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't. They just still don't spot Diamond coming over that wall. And what were you saying about Diamond? Loves to get involved early on. They pull off the dive, use the aggro reset from the Kalista. This is such a sick dive.
And yes, Diamond dies, but you still get both bot laners. You still get multiple kills onto the Kalista. That bot lane tower falls as well. They get the dragon afterwards. You take the 1 kill and trade for that every single time.
And now you are sat with an absolute wrecking ball of a 2v2 to play around.
I mean, that's one way of calling the Kalista ult.
It's definitely what it's. I look at now MNM, and who wants to tank that ever? Basically, no one. You've got a Swain that wants to be maybe stood up, and when they get to Rylai's an Imperial Mandate, that will hurt the Kalista. But even with that, I feel like the burst damage now is going to be so insane. And Bifrost using that again, the Wrecking Ball combo, going up towards this top side. Don't need a Herald for this one. There's going to be more plates for this AD carry.
Absolutely. I was trying to find a pun for Wreck-It Ralph, and I can't. So here we are, Wreck-It Odie, I guess. There's no real pun there.
You know, normally I'm pretty up there with references to Folio on. I'm not today, not in this one, but Odie going to be stopped by that cannon barrage. Kellen being the bad guy in this story, but of course, being a bad guy doesn't mean you have to be a bad guy. That's as good as I've got.
That was not bad, actually. You know what? You did that. That was pretty good. I will give you that. It was significantly better than I managed to come up with on the fly there, which I was disappointed with. But Caleb kind of being left a little bit out to the wolves. Shredder and Soph have turned up. So this would be a 2v3, but Diamond around in the river will make this an even numbers contest.
Ult again. You can see again MNM trying to commit to this bot lane. That's a big barrel. That is a
Highway solo has got the heal. Managed to get away. Don't have to use the Fate's Call. Throw down the hostile takeover. It took me a second to remember the name there, but we'll get the summoner out of Odie alongside the ultimate. Kalem really punishing that.
Now, I believe also, we're going to talk about Kalem, that was a very important play. Still down 30 CS, but actually, in terms of the top laners we have in this league, has had some pretty insane impact for his team.
Yeah, I mean, well, I went grabbed a few numbers, so I was looking around to see like what's going on with MNM, and Kalem is right up there as the #1 kill participation top laner in the whole damn league. 85% is incredibly high for a top laner who's often, who are offered, there we go, left to play alone on side lanes, left to split push.
Lane Island Gaming.
Exactly, and he's very much a focal point of the team when they are getting kills. He's 31% of the team's damage, which is the highest of any top laner, and just a very high number in general. And he's third in terms of overall DPM for top laners at around 517 odd, which is a solid number to be having at the best of times. This guy is critical to when MNM are going on. And when you can see plays like that, you can understand where some of those numbers are coming from.
So looking at these kind of plays there with that barrel being so impactful, those barrels are going to be huge in the next fights as well. So we set up a couple of heroes here. Odie, a lot of gold, and Diamond Prox helping them get that. You already talked about how Diamond Prox allows that for their team. That's been the story of Bifrost in this game. MNM, if they are going to come back through what has typically been a shaky mid-game for them, which is starting now, MNM are probably going to have to rely on a couple of those barrels, dealing out huge amounts of damage there. He's not going to be at their power point up until that probably 2.5 through item point. And Kellen with the Essence Reaver spikes a little earlier in terms of the team fight damage. If you get a lucky crit, those things really start to pop. That's how I think MNM can start trying to claw themselves back into this game. Actually, you can see that gold lead already. You can see that the amount of plates onto this Kalista. Kalen, for me, is who MNM need to really see shine.
Soft really has a thing for KFC, back towards the fried chicken for the third time I've seen this game. And it somehow feels like the only the bargain bucket, exactly. Is that what I'm going to call the Raptor bit from now on? The bargain bucket. Yes. I am very much there for that. That's probably the most NLC Northern option we could have gone for. There you go. Well, anyway, the only prize that MNM have managed to consistently find this game has been the bargain bucket for Sophers. Camera takes so much of his HP bar there. Doesn't quite fall, but does take a vast chunk of damage. And now this mid lane is under siege, and there's no teleport for Camera to get back here.
There's a Herald, there's a Dragon coming up in a minute. So Bifrost, they force the mid lane at the back. That's one of the people that MNM really need to start frontlining. They take a mid turret. They're well in time for it to reset towards the Dragon as well. This is a big phase of play for them.
Fate's Call, Cyclone, and a handshake will make a shredder to a dead man indeed. There is nothing anybody from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles could have done better there. Destroy the Nautilus, who had nowhere to go.
Yeah, and, well, maybe they should have been less a fan of KFC and more pizza. That would have been the Teenage Mutant savior. Calum, while all this is happening, has been left alone on the top lane. He's going to take down an objective bounty at 17 minutes. We rarely even see these a lot of the time, but Bifrost, heck, I think it was Fury speaking about it on Twitter. It was, I think someone was saying like, oh no, it's Bifrost late game, what the heck's going on here? And then I believe it was Fury saying, yeah, but at least we have some early game now. This is one of those games where you start thinking, hey, that's pretty okay. You've gotten yourself a big lead, and while it has been hit or miss, they managed to get a huge power play and get themselves up to, again, as we said, that point where MNM need objective bounties, get themselves soul point early into the game. This has been a very dominant early game. Time to see now if they can close it out in this now burgeoning mid game.
Yeah. They're looking at a 22-minute soul point available. They have got all the outer towers. They've got both heralds. They've got a vast gold lead. The top of like 4,000 gold at this point of the game is certainly nothing to sniff at. And you're with a comp that is coming into its own. This is a mid-game comp in a lot of ways. A lot of CC, a lot of power around those objectives, especially when you've got things like the Event Horizon, the Cyclone, the Fates Called, the Hostile Takeover, Meganar. That is not a fun choke point to walk through if you are MNM.
Speaking of MNM, thinking of those choke points, they do have some wards on the top side of the map, and Bifrost, while they had that big power play around that mid lane, they didn't leave that much vision that has survived now, because MNM did a good job of clearing out a lot of those wards. You can see that pink ward being cleared just around that Raptor bush. MNM have the vision advantage, but can they use that to find themselves a winning play against that gold lead?
It's been this red side jungle. There's been a lot of MNM's focus. Got a few control wards in there, though one of those will be cleared out now by Shikari as he walks behind his own red buff. Normally quite a difficult ward to pick up. That's been one of those old school wards which isn't naturally pathed through if you're just heading through the jungle on autopilot, so to speak. But MNM, down a significant amount of gold, down a significant amount of map pressure, but they do scale pretty well. A Gangplank and a Zeri and a Swain. If you can stall this game, if you can try and hold on, maybe you've got some options as the game gets later.
Again, a lot of those options have to come from... They have to come from good vision play, and while they did a great job of establishing that, they haven't managed to defend it. They weren't in position to fight when Bifrost came and clumped up and started to roam around with those sweepers. They've not managed to defend any of it. Now, MNM left at a point where they're getting pushed in on lanes wherever Bifrost choose they want to have priority, mid lane first and foremost. At least they get themselves a objective bounty on that bot side.
Kalem did a lot of work early with the barrels, even if it didn't lead to a kill. Fury thinking about popping that Predator, in fact does so, but Diamond's coming behind. Kalem's gonna have to try and get over that. That is the oranges down. Won't be punished, but it will be the tower still going down, even if Shredder comes up. I don't think there's really much room for him or Mishigu to turn anything around there. Wards cleared out, and Bifrost take that tier 2 and continue to try and stifle out MNM from their own jungle on the opposite side of the map. A red quadrant for a red quadrant. A little bit of vengeance for the early game.
So, speaking of avenging past wrongs, I mean, MNM, one of the things that I would have... Okay, I'm not going to say criticize, because I think this is... I'm not sure it's enough to be a trend even after a third of the split. We had a couple of games where it felt like they had compositional advantages that they could have played around, and they made some bad decisions in mid-game to put themselves in difficult scenarios. I remember actually the last Swain game they played, it felt like they took a bad fight into enemy jungle against a Jinx and a Talir, and it just kind of all fell apart. So in this game, I'm wondering if they really have a chance to, again, showcase any kind of improvement in that area onto the decision-making in mid-game. And looking at it again, where are they going to do that? Baron's alive now, and it feels like Bifrost, they're going to get to a point where they can force MNM's hand and take that decision away from them.
It's actually pretty difficult, especially with the gold lead discrepancy, and then the fact you've got a Kalista plus a Wukong. Like, that is very hard to out-smite between Rend and your own smite from Diamond as well. Like, Bifrost have got a lot of objective secure alongside a lot of objective control, as we've kind of been highlighting. MNM, they've got to play in a period of the game which has been a bit of a weakness for them. That loss we saw last week where they threw in the mid-game despite an incredible early game, probably still haunting them now. We've got to see massive improvement from a negative position.
Yeah, so MNM
might be a start. Might be a start. That's definitely going to work out. Highway down for the count, but has a stopwatch and a fantastic use of that hostile takeover. Cyclone is there into the Fate's Call, and they'll manage to extricate themselves. Diamond's clone died, but now Odie in trouble on the other side. He went way too deep for that. Now Kemmer on the other side is going to throw out the demonic ascension into the back of the pit. Does go down. It'll be a 2-for-1 right now. Soft hopping forwards. Will miss the Sonic Wave, but that is a massive win now for MNM with the jungler dead as well.
Jungler's dead. Shikari not going to have that ult up for a little bit. Maybe can take this some damage, but MNM talked about that mid-game, talked about it starting with vision and making those decisions. Looking well for them so far, but can they capitalize on the
That's going to stop the easy teleport back in. Baron down to 8,000 HP, and Fury has not been able to reset and teleport back in. It'll be the solo laners of Bifrost trying to play this one out best they can. That's Event Horizon. Shredder taken so down low, will surely fall. Ultra Shock Laser will not be able to secure Fury. And the Baron now down to 2,000 HP. That is one kill back. Soft, so low. They're going to play 64. Baron is taken, but now can they extricate themselves? Mishigu manages to secure Shikari, and MNM managed to find a critical turnaround series of plays and come out with an objective bounty Baron.
Okay, if MNM's homework was to talk about that decision-making, play around the vision which they'd set up, that is a massively passing grade, passing with honors, distinctions, whatever the heck you want to call it at this point. And on the other side, Bifrost gonna have to give you a detention for that one. They're giving us another heart attack in a game, Sam. Bifrost as a team, they always find ways to make it interesting. While last split, even into EU Masters, they were more successful than not. They have themselves another game, but they're keeping things in question.
Odie, they managed to extricate themselves. It looked like they could just disengage, and then Odie hops forward and dies. He was your 6-kill Kalista. And then Camera just sweeps to the back of the pit and gets another, and from here it's a 2v4.
And you know the smite's down, you know Maganar's down, you know the Vega ult is down, but through this, we now have a trade. We have MNM with the Baron, we have the Cloud solo from Bifrost, which has been claimed. And this is particularly important for champions like Vega. Vega is a champion who's playing with Predator and wants to stop getting those cages down.
So much damage. This is not a nice game for the Nautilus. Big hostile takeover, but Camera is popping off. Demonic Ascension comes straight on through. Thus, quoth the Raven, never move. Beautiful stuff from Camera at the back end of it, and it's a 4-for-1. Shikari is running away, the last remaining member of Bifrost.
Oh my gosh, Bifrost, they think they found a cage, they think they found a one-shot, but they get one target, and MNM snap. On the click of a finger, they turn it around, and Mishigu is at a point of power. We said 2.5 items was about that break point for Zeri when they start popping off, and when that CC was down, Mishigu did a huge amount of work alongside those barrels. Gonna, of course, have a take another look at that. Cage goes down, you think, all right, okay, single pick. But then look at this. Zeri starts popping off, cannon barrage, and a barrel on to 3. It's a Prowler's Claw gangplank, and we talked about Calum having a huge damage percentage and wanting to look at them as a player. M&M find themselves another great fight. And after what was a pretty disastrous early game for this roster, sat at 1-5, this would have been a very hard loss to stomach in that kind of fashion. Signs of life now for the roster.
It's just an inversion of what happened last week, it feels, for M&M. It's a bad early game into a fantastic mid-game turnaround. And honestly, shout out to Camera as well. I believe that was a 3-man never move that held people in place for the barrel chain.
Hang on, speaking of never move, you sounded like you were saying something literally.
I was.
Literature like in that last fight.
No, gonna get
Mind
away there.
filling me in on the never move thing?
To clarify, maybe not qualify, there's a little bit of contesting going around this.
Tell me about Swain.
I've got time. That the move never move
right,
is a reference to Edgar Allan's pose The Raven, where the raven quoth nevermore. And so I made a really cool reference using that. It's brilliant. I'm a genius. I'm a literary savant as we've got a fight in the mid lane. And we have to see whether it'll be another horror story quoting from that Swain, who's only going to throw out the demonic ascension a little late, of course. At the other side, Highway and Odie trying to trade up best they can, off into the backside. Odie, the kick, gets it! Soft, that was gorgeous! No bailout available. Highway fails to flash into the KFC bargain bucket. Soft, though, into the cage. Not going to be taken out. Big hook, big, never move! The Raven speaks again, and Edgar Allan Poe had it down well right into Omen, and now Mishigu. Push it. It's a decent chunk back into the cave, trying to run away, does still have a spark surge. Calum walking forwards, barrels onto Fury, but a primordial burst will secure the AD carry and trade. Shikari now trying to run away, will turn into a mini Gnar. Crunch away is not going to be quite enough as Soft hops forward, misses the sonic wave though, and maybe Shikari can start playing this one out there into the base and they need to try and escape.
Okay, so now, with 2 people left alive, Shikari living there could be pivotal. Means that there is a potential base defense. M&M not able to crack those inhibitor turrets. And M&M, where has this squad been for this split? Where has it been? Because this is the kind of decisive engage, understanding what cooldowns they can play around, which I have sorely missed from this squad. Mishigu doesn't get hit by another cage, doesn't end up getting hit by the big Renata all coming through, and it's the other AD carries, the Fed, Callista, that gets shut down early into the fight. The kick into gaping more of M&M, so huge in this play, and that literature reference once again striking true to pick up another kill at the end of the fight.
And all honesty, I thought M&M were done in this game. This Baron now into the consistent team fights. Zeri, Gangplank, and of course the Swain very much online, and Soft feeling himself in his late place if they had to extricate themselves from the base. Afterwards, it's a 2,000 gold lead to M&M. Baron spawning in 30 seconds or so. And we need to see a turnaround from Bifrost, or M&M may well have this.
So, what that gold lead means, though, and a lot of the time it doesn't mean that much, is it means a lot of item completions to come in. That Fed Callista actually almost on parity with the Zeri now, and you know what? 3 items Zeri with the QSS on top of it. I take that over the Callista at this point. We've seen how easy it's been for Mishigu to play once that cage has been down. M&M, at this point, I think you have to even favor them, and of course the momentum meter has swung vastly in their favor from the analysts in the back room giving their own opinion. Bifrost, this is where they were really dealt those harsh blows right in this mid lane, but M&M will have to find themselves 1 or 2 good fights to end out this game themselves.
Shikari just hit Mega Gnar, which means it's not likely going to be available for either the Baron or the Elder Dragon, which is spawning nice and early in this game. 15 seconds to go. Bifrost trying to find a space where they can fight. Shredder misses. Big summoner down camera, stepping forwards. Will not be trapped by the event horizon. As Visions of Empire continuing to fly around.
You can see how M&M trying to muscle the way into the river. So, what are we looking for in this fight? Again, it's cage cooldown. This is the really big one. Maybe a good Renata ult can keep things interesting, but with a QSS on the table, it's going to be so hard for Bifrost to shut down the carries they need to. Look for Bifrost to try and shut down isolated targets, roll it from there.
Elder Dragon down to 7,000 HP, going down even further. That's Event Horizon. Massive amount of damage onto Highway, who's out of the fight. We're going to begin, but now Shredder's dead. Camera to the backside, though. He's got a demonic Conception running. On the other side, though, everyone else from Bifrost still just about alive. And Shikari to the backside doing what he can, but it's now dead. Vega secured by a burst fire from Michigu, and it will be a wipe for MNM. Surely it is. Shikari trying to run away over the wall. He hops, but he's once again the one remaining member, and MNM will head to the Baron pit.
And with a hop, a skip, and a spark of inspiration, Michigu might die, but they secure that Elder, and that is a heroic moment for MNM. Bifrost magic in the late game was so close to happening. You can see what happens in this fight. Soft not able to get onto that backline. Fury doing a lot of work at this point. Level 16, several items hit. It's not enough at the end of it, but seriously, the turn onto that Elder gets so damn close. Bifrost very unfortunate to lose out on that, but gosh, what a fight that was.
Three-man Mega Gnar into the wall at the back end of the fight, but Camera was zoning off one half. Diamond was on the Elder and had no Cyclone available. It looked good until we realized there was nothing left in the tank from Bifrost. As Highway handshake Shredder away, does not want that particular business deal.
Highway to the not in danger zone.
Yes, to the not in danger zone, exactly.
That's all I got for that one. Take that as you got. Fury continuing to stack up, actually has that blighting jewel, a magic pen on the Vega. Huge at this point. If you can get to the point where actually Camera takes one combo, goes into one cage and dies, that is incredibly important for Bifrost. However, they might have to have their hands forced in this case. The MNM heading over towards that Baron. They don't have the highest Baron damage right now, and Bifrost are here in time for a contest.
Just be careful, remember there's still the Elder Dragon running. The Ultra Shock laser goes wide. Event Horizon is going to zone people off. Dragon to Baron, sorry, down to about half HP. Diamond still looking for a flank angle, has it. The Event Horizon down one more time. Pulled into the cage. Fury's got a Sonic Wave on him, it will not be taken. Big use of that hostile takeover. Another Event Horizon. That'll be the Wukong gone. The Smite is dead. Remember, there's still the Elder Dragon on these people. Only trying to hop away. He's got a bailout, but nothing left to work. Does get soft. That means the Smite is dead, but the ban advantage is still there for MNM. It's a 2-for-1 trade, all things said and done.
And you know what? For all things we said about the durability patch, it's meant more often than not, we've gotten to these late game scenarios. In this game, it was an active early game, and Bifrost sitting there in tied second place, I believe. You've got JDXL right at the top at 6-0, Bifrost with a whole clump 4-2. This is actually an important game for them to keep pace. Can they start splitting the map? They sent two towards that bot lane, even with the Smite dead. They choose not to contest that Baron. Use the solo laners to get some map pressure.
Kari finishes up what he was doing during that initial Baron contest just before this. That is the inhibitor down, but they will lose the Baron to Bifrost. At least they managed to find something resembling a trade. They will have all their members alive, and the waves, not that preferable for MNM outside of in the mid lane, where Renata is doing her best to trim it.
Yeah. Well, all of this is being said, we talked about the Bifrost perspective, set of 1 and 5 MNM. It's not too late for them to start climbing back into relevancy. It's only a third of a split. Maybe it's a bit harsh to say that, but at 1 and 5, you are behind everyone but Singularity sat at 0 and 6 this game for them. I'm not going to say it's going to change everything, because that, again, would be a little bit too dramatic even for me, and I love my my own bit of drama, but MNM, this team who are, again, currently sat in a relegation's berth. If it were to continue, would love this victory to change their narrative even just slightly. Q onto Highway, not going to lead to anything more from Soft, but MNM, well, they had those beautiful team fights back to back. They've really found the clean fights to end out this game that we asked for them after that point, and it's gotten to the point where it is getting very, very close.
So close. Elder Dragon's worn off, but Baron is still on. Bifrost seeding another tower here, aware they're not going to have the easiest time contesting it. All the while, though, still got a little while to work with the Baron buff. They've got a minute and a half until another Elder Dragon spawns, and that last one was a damn close flip.
So, with that being said, remember what MNM did to start off this comeback? It was vision traps, it was playing around the vision control that they had and using that to find those first picks. Currently, MNM push into that bot side jungle. They have themselves vision, but it's still a minute and a half till that Elder spawn. Can they defend it after that point? Presumably they might want one last reset. Diamond Crocs
gets hit by the never move, but is able to warrior trickster his way out of danger there as Highway a little earlier took an ultra shock laser to the face, and the ultra part of that laser is definitely very true right now. Flash hook! Renata is gone! Deleted! Eviscerated! Removed from the rift! Member down. Bifrost now have to defend with that Renata and her ultimate unavailable for them.
Victory goes to the bold.
Wait!
Oh my god!
Shikari! The Cyclone afterwards secures the kill back, but all the while, Soft secures the Vega. Odie hopping mad though, trying to put as many spears into the hearts of camera and crew. It's a shooting gallery, and the Swain is dead.
MNM try to be bold. They try to end the game on the Baron push.
It's not done.
Elder be
It's
down.
not done. Shikari hopping forward. Mystical trying to trade out. He's rendered down. It's a horse factory. He's glue. Soft on 5% HP. Must run from Shikari. A Mega Knight to the wall. And an ace for Bifrost. The last stand comes true.
How did Bifrost keep doing this?
I don't believe it.
They found themselves into another game. It was all but done. They throw it, they claim it back. It's a Bifrost heart attack once again.
MNM need to see an exorcist. Their late game juju has been stolen by Bifrost. There's no other explanation for how they do it.
Elder secured. Let's just take a moment to breathe.
Speechless.
I think you could probably allow us a little bit of excitement after that, because MNM, you could see the timer on the Elder, and my opinion was push in, keep that vision, reset, set up around that objective. MNM, you know, honestly, credit to them in some way. I appreciate the boldness they had, because it was bold to say, let's end this off of this one play. Get the flash hook, get that first kill. Kalista ult be damned, they get that Renata out of the way, and if it weren't for the heroics from Shikari, from the rest of the crew, that would have been it. It would have been put to bed. Last word written onto that paper. And now, after that, they've been sadly punished for that boldness. They still have those items at parity, because everyone is late game now. They're gonna have another swing at this, but this time it's gonna be MNM without that Elder buff, without that ability to have that overbearing combat advantage. So Bifrost, they find themselves in what has been a bit of a home for them so far, that late game, which they should or shouldn't be in with everything on the paper written down, but we're looking like it is coming towards this one last attempt.
Oh, Fate's call. Remember, there's an Elder Dragon on. They're going in. Highway is there. Does not pop the ultimate. It's still a potential fight. Calum taking a lot of damage. Remember, there's still that burst, that damage from the Elder Dragon, that burn, that execution that could bring them all down. Highway takes an ultra laser and a cannon barrage that chunks him down to half. Fate's call is down.
How much can these barrels do? How much can these barrels and these visions of the Empire is doing, MNM?
They can. The tower now under siege. Massive use of that hostile takeover.
Calum!
Get into it! Calum's gone! 31% of the damage share, and he's dead. 2 rights. It'll be a pirate burial, a 21-gun salute best they can. But with the Mamba down, they're trying to clear out the waves. They're trying to hold on with that disadvantage. The numbers discrepancy may hurt them. They're down to one necessary stop on the flank. The event horizon down as well. What can they do to hold on? Highway down so low. They've still got the Elder Dragon for a little bit longer. Demonic Ascension is up. Shikari hops away. The event horizon brings Soft down. Streams at HP. He kicks, but he can't secure the kill. He's executed down to the GA, but he's now capped into the cage, and there ain't no way out. Massive shot back with the Mega. Nah, Shredder is shredded. Odie gets a double. Camera alone remains, and the Swain is plucked and pulled from the skies. Demonic Dissension, straight to hell you go. Do not pass go. Bifrost, do it again. The late game magic is unstoppable.
We had words about this, Bifrost.